Welcome back to Life English Practice. We are recording this right in the middle of Chicago, and the wind off Lake Michigan today is absolutely freezing.
It really is. You can see people outside pulling their coats tight, just trying to survive the walk to the train station.
That survival instinct is exactly what I want to talk about today. But not about the weather. I want to talk about emotional survival when you speak a second language.
That is a heavy topic. Many of our listeners are navigating new lives, new jobs, maybe right here in the U.S., and the anxiety is real.
Exactly. They are losing sleep over credit card debt, the high cost of groceries, and on top of that, the fear of sounding rude or uneducated at work.
And today, we are going to look at one tiny word that acts like a shield against that fear. That word is would.
I hear from so many language learners who are terrified of using it. They think it belongs in an advanced grammar textbook, so they just avoid it.
And avoiding it creates a silent, deep problem. I have spoken to professionals who moved to the United States, working hard, paying their bills, but they stay awake at night feeling like they do not belong.
They feel disconnected. They notice that their coworkers smile at them, but do not invite them to lunch. They feel a wall between themselves and native speakers.
Exactly. And often, that wall is built by directness. In many cultures, being direct means you are honest. But in Midwestern American culture, especially right here in Ohio, being too direct feels aggressive.
If you walk into a coffee shop and say, "I want a black coffee," people will serve you, but they might think you are rude.
But if you change just one piece of that sentence and say, "I would like a black coffee," everything softens. You instantly sound polite, gentle, and respectful.
There is actually a fascinating linguistic reason for this. In sociolinguistics, there is something called politeness theory, developed by Penelope Brown and Stephen Levinson.
I have read about that. It involves the concept of face, right?
Yes, specifically negative face. This is not about being sad. Negative face is a person's basic psychological need to feel independent, to feel that nobody is forcing them to do anything.
That makes complete sense. When you say, "I want coffee," you are imposing your demand on the listener. You are threatening their independence.
Exactly. But when you say, "I would like coffee," you are technically presenting a hypothetical situation. You are just stating a gentle preference. It protects the other person's psychological boundaries.
That is why this word is everywhere in corporate America. Let us talk about work marials. People fear writing marials because they do not want to sound bossy.
If you write, "We need to schedule a meeting," the person reading it feels a tiny spike of stress. It feels like an order from an authority figure.
But if you write, "I would like to schedule a meeting," you immediately sound like a respectful colleague. It is professional, yet completely non-threatening.
And it does not stop at politeness. This word allows you to give advice without ruining a friendship. Imagine your friend is exhausted, maybe working 2 jobs to survive.
That is a very real situation here. Economic pressure is heavy. You see them struggling, and you want to help.
If you say, "You should sleep more," they might feel judged. They might think you do not understand their financial struggles.
Right, but if you say, "I would try to rest if I were you," you are putting yourself in their shoes. You are offering support, not a command.
It is like a soft cushion for your words. English can be a very harsh-sounding language if we only use absolute verbs like want, need, or must.
I want to shift to another way we use this word, which is storytelling. When people look back at their past, they rarely use simple past tense for habits.
Yes. Instead of saying, When I was a child, I played outside. Native speakers add emotional warmth. They say, when I was a child, I would play outside every evening.
That sentence immediately feels like a memory. It shows a pattern, a comforting routine. It sounds like poetry, even in daily conversation.
There is a second psychological truth here. Studies on memory show that when we recall repeated events from our childhood, our brain treats them differently than single events. Using would perfectly matches that mental state.
That is incredible. It means the grammar itself is reflecting human emotion. You are not just reporting facts. You are sharing a piece of your history.
Exactly. This is why I tell learners not to view grammar as a cage. It is actually a set of tools to express your humanity.
Let us discuss imagination next, because sometimes our reality is difficult, and we need to talk about our hopes without sounding naive.
If you ask someone, what would you do if you had more time? You are giving them a safe space to dream. It is an imaginary situation.
And answering that question is powerful. If I had more time, I would spend it with my family. It is honest. It does not promise anything impossible.
We use it for money, too. A very sensitive topic everywhere, but especially when dealing with the high cost of living right now.
Yes, saying, I want to be rich sounds a bit greedy to some people. But saying, I would like to earn enough to feel secure is mature and completely understandable.
Notice how the tone changes everything. It is the same basic desire, but wrapped in a layer of social awareness.
Let us talk directly to the person listening right now. The fear of speaking is real. It paralyzes people. They open their mouth and nothing comes out.
I understand that fear. You are afraid of making a grammar mistake and looking foolish. But I promise you, native speakers do not care about perfect grammar.
They care about your intention. If your intention is kind, people will be patient. And using would signals that you have kind intentions.
If you are at a networking event and you feel entirely out of place, do not say, I want to talk to you. Say, I would love to learn more about your work.
That opens a door. It invites the person in without forcing them. It is polite, yet confident.
And if you do make a mistake at work, which we all do not defend yourself aggressively. You can just say, I would like to fix this immediately.
That is taking responsibility while maintaining your dignity. You are not begging for forgiveness, but you are not dodging the blame either.
Sometimes learners ask me to explain the difference between will and would. It confuses many beginners.
It is simple if you think about strength. I will call you is a firm decision. I would call you implies there might be a condition, or it is just a softer thought.
Right. Will closes the door to discussion. Would leaves the door slightly open.
I love that image. Leaving the door open is exactly what building relationships in a new country is all about.
When you are dealing with a difficult situation, like disagreeing with your boss, you never say, you are wrong.
Never. That is career suicide. You say, I would see it a little differently. You are still disagreeing, but you are doing it with respect.
It is emotional intelligence, and it is completely accessible to beginners. You do not need a massive vocabulary to be emotionally intelligent in English.
That is a beautiful point. You just need a few soft words like would, probably, and maybe. They act as shock absorbers in conversations.
To anyone listening who feels discouraged today, taking a breath helps. Do not race through your sentences trying to sound perfect.
Pace yourself. Say, I would like to keep learning. Just saying that out loud builds confidence over time.
Progress is not always visible on the surface. Sometimes progress is just feeling a little less nervous when you order your morning coffee.
Exactly. You are doing great just by showing up and trying. Thank you for sitting down with me today, Mary. The weather outside is cold, but this conversation was wonderful.
My pleasure, John. I would happily do this again anytime.
See what he did there? Perfect use of the word. Keep practicing, everyone. I am John, and this is Life English Practice. See you next time.